going on, everyone? This is Jack with the Trading Tribe, and today we are back at it with another futures options video. Hopefully today shows a lot of value. This is something I don't see talked about a lot on YouTube, but is actually a really nice way to generate some pretty consistent income with futures, and it's actually to sell options around your favorite futures out there. So you can actually do this on most of the main futures contracts. It just depends on liquidity at times. But what I like to do is I like to sell options on ES. And there's a couple of reasons why. So ES is something I trade quite a bit, so I don't mind getting into the trade on ES. But if we look here on ThinkorSwim, right, we can open up the options chain for ES, which is very similar to options on stocks. You can trade options on futures as well. So very similar in that sense, but there are some key differences. So we'll notice here with the options chain for ES, we have daily expiring options. So we can see we can trade 0 DTE type options on ES, but we can also go long term and grab contracts that are 1 month, 2 month, 3 months out, for example, as well. So there's quite a bit of flexibility. But what I'll typically do is I'll figure out the trend, right? So on ES, we've been in this really clean uptrend really all year long. And what's really nice about this is when any future is trending, what you can actually do is you can actually sell puts where you want to enter. So in this case, I sold a put yesterday at 5,305. And essentially, what you get to do is you get to collect a premium. And so, yesterday, when I sold a put at 53.05, right, I get to collect that premium, which was right around $1,000. And there's kind of two outcomes, right? One outcome is within 5 days. So, I bought the Friday expiring contract. ES continues upwards, ES goes sideways, or ES can even go down a little bit, and I get to just keep that $1,000. If by chance ES drops below 53.05 by Friday and it closes below 53.05 on Friday, the downside is that would actually force me to get in one ES contract. The nice part though is I get to keep that $1,000, which is really cool. So if I open up this options contract, I chose the Friday expiration date just because I'm really getting this idea off the hourly chart. So I feel very comfortable giving it 5 days to actually continue this uptrend. And I think by Friday, there's a really high chance of the price being above 53.05. So best case scenario, right, is I keep that $1,000 and then essentially I swing trade it again or I sell another put next week. But we can see here I am in on the position. So this 53.05 put is actually still paying really well. So it's still paying 19. And this is a little bit different than stocks. So with futures options, essentially it follows the tick value of the future. So every point on this E-mini S&P 500 contract is $50. So if we got in right now and it went up a point on the future side, we'd make $50. On the options side, it's the exact same, right? So if we're selling this put, think of it as we're collecting around 19 points of premium. And that's the really cool part here, right? If we went to sell this put, right, we can do a little order here, confirm and send, and then we can actually see we would collect 950 today, and we would collect that just from selling the put. So really cool way to generate income. The downside is obviously you're picking that strike price, and by Friday, if ES is not above that, you do have to get in and buy one contract of ES. So you do have to be a little bit careful, right? You don't want to sell puts where you're not willing to get into the trade because it will essentially make you buy that expiration date. But the nice part is if ES continues on this uptrend this week and ends up above 53.05, I essentially just get to keep that $1,000 that I collected this week. I actually sold it on Sunday, right when the market opened on the 31st of March. And I essentially get to keep that $1,000 and do it again. And so that's the really nice part, right, with ES. You don't have to just wait for these big pullbacks that we're getting this year. You can actually sell puts where you're willing to get in and collect premium ahead of time. And so it's just a really nice way to generate income, and it actually pays really well. So some of these pay over 1,000. You'll notice there's quite a few closer to the money that are actually over 20 points. And 20 points on ES again is $1,000. And so really nice way to generate income. And I really look at it similar to a swing trade, because if the price did come down to 53.05, I would be looking for longs anyways. And so why not make some income doing that, right? Make some income waiting. And then again, right, if it does make me get into the trade, that's where I would get in anyways, right? So same thing, right? I'd have the same stop regardless. I'd basically have that trade on regardless, but you're essentially getting paid in the meantime. And this is what's called selling puts for income. And if you look online, right, there's a lot of this on the stock side, but there's not as much showcased for futures. So if you are interested in options or options on futures, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Definitely let me know that as well in the comments, and I can continue making these and showing you how to make income trading options on futures. Thanks, everybody.